Now, this is the first focus thing that I want to talk about. What are the needs of the DNS server in cloud? And the first and foremost need is a policy-based traffic management. Means, how do you intelligently decide which query to be sent to which host? What is the response that you can send back to the client so that he can connect to the nearest or the best host? There are many solutions available like Anycast, Bind Views, and there are other proprietary implementations. Windows DNS Server has come up with its own policy-based traffic management. Then the second thing is, because cloud is multi-tenant, you need audit and billing mechanism for the DNS service. So if you are providing DNS as a service, you can charge your customers if required. So you need a proper audit trail. The third thing is you have so much data coming to you on cloud because you are operating on cloud scale, so many people are there. So you can mine that data. And when I say mining, you can find out the gold inside a big amount of rock ore and do something like Treasure of Sierra Madre. I don't know whether it will succeed or not, but yes, you can mine the data. And finally, the security and high availability, because if somebody puts his own DNS information on your infrastructure, he wants it to be secure and highly available. Now, the first thing this is the first announcement of policy-based traffic management, by the way, which is available in Windows 10 technical preview. So DNS policy in Windows DNS Server is a construct that allows DNS Server to control the DNS query processing in order to achieve global traffic management, like distributing people from one geographical location to the closest data center. Application load balancing, which means I have multiple applications, I want to distribute queries to each of them in a particular order, in a particular ratio, depending upon the capabilities of those servers. You can do that using the policy-based traffic management. Then you can do intelligent DNS responses. For example, a person connecting to you on IPv6 should get a quad A record. Or UDP and TCP-based some semantics you can develop there. Applying tenant-specific filters for blackholing, parental control, etc. And the major one for a very long time, the split brain deployment. Now, how do we tackle our policies? How do we define our policies? What is the anatomy of the policy? First thing that we have in our policies are the criteria. Criteria can be any combination of client subnet, means the IP address from where the client is coming, or the resolver's IP address. Server interface IP means which server interface the query was received if you have multiple interfaces running on the DNS server. FQDN, what kind of domain query? Internet protocol, V4 or V6, transport protocol, UDP or TCP, time of day, at what time the query was received, because in cloud elasticity, you will find that the application load varies with the time, because people in US will be querying for something at 6 to 9 in US, but at the Europe, the same application will not be loaded at the same time. So you can use DNS server to load balance your cloud data center cloud applications. And query type, A, quad A, SRV, TCP, MX, whatever query type, whatever you want to do. Then what happens if this, and let me insist on this point, the criteria, when I said all these variables, client, subnet, server interface, etc., you can mathematically combine them in any possible way. It is equal to this, and this, or this, not equal to this, you can do all of them. So you can write a mathematical expression that will calculate into a criteria, and on basis of that criteria matching, you can take action to allow, deny, or ignore. Allow means pass the query. Deny means block the query, send a server failure response. Ignore means just sit back, don't send anything, let him rot. And content is when you allow a policy to be executed, you respond him with what answer. That is the intelligent response that you are going to give, and in what ratio. If you have to load balance across different application data centers, you can load balance in 8:2:1:3 in whatever available way. Now, what are the capabilities? I will breeze through this. As you can guess, this is a very vast capability that we are introducing. And you can do traffic management, location-aware responses. You can do high availability by finding out which of your applications are failing over to where, and you can give the best answer available at that particular time to the client. You can do the load balancing to distribute the queries across different application servers. You can do time of day-based policies. You can do split brain DNS, because now if you have two interfaces on a single server, one is external, one is internal. Internal is listening to the internal networks, external is listening to the external networks. You can now define intelligent responses based on that. How and why, I will not linger on that because I have to talk about DNS data mining also, but you can get in touch with me on how this can be done. I can just explain to you. And then black holing and filters. Now, the second part that I talked was the multi-tenant DNS audit trail. Now, if you have multi-tenant DNS, so many domains you are hosting, and you have many people who are administering those domains, then you want to have a trail of what, who, and when. What changed, like which zone changed, which server property was changed, which record was changed, who changed, whether it was done by a DC admin or the data center admin, or whether it was done by a tenant admin. And when it was changed, it can be used for reporting, audit trails, diagnostics, because you have to give a proof that you have done it correct. Now, earlier also we had a basic DNS audit trail. Now we have introduced a separate ETW logs, very fast, right in line, where you can get this in the form of XML data. Now the final part of the presentation is the DNS data mine, where I will say what we have available and what you can use to do DNS data mining in particular. Now, as I said, so data mining is finding the most valuable information. So you do not care about all those data, but you want to find the most important data and most valuable information out of that data. How do you do that? This is a whole science in itself, but the basic DNS data mine involves these 4 steps. First, you have to collect data. Of course, you have not got to miss anything. Then there is data preparation. Like, how do you clean the data? How do you wash the data? Then there is pattern discovery. You have several mechanisms to discover the patterns inside the collected data. And then there is the actionable information. Now, first thing is the data collection. At present, Microsoft DNS Server provides you XML-based logs for every transaction that is done on the DNS server, which means you have a well-formatted, structured document that can be consumed by different programs, and it has got IP addresses, FQDNs, which are the source IP, what kind of query, whatever comes in the DNS packet, it is available to you in a structured format. And the best part is that it is done without decreasing the performance. So we have ensured that we will not decrease the performance when we do all those logging. And this logging can be scaled out on different infrastructure, and then you have to collect this data. The collection has to be real time, and it has to be with minimal performance impact, because for mining the data, you do not want to go and jeopardize your performance of the applications you are hosting. And what are the kind of the data that you want to collect is, again, queries and responses. You want to collect the transfer requests that have been received on your service. You have to connect the dynamic updates or the DDNS packets that have been received. And then you have to also collect the server state, like health indicators of the system, like CPU usage, disk usage, and all those variables, and performance counters, which are very specific to DNS. All these things are published by Microsoft in one way or the other. Now, for the collection part, we are using a mechanism called ETW framework, and ETW framework is kind of a tiered mechanism where there is a producer which produces logs and gets back. It goes into a buffered system, and anyone can write a consumer to upload to a central server. Now, in case of data mining, the central server can be what you call a relational database system, like SQL Server, which has multiple different databases connected to each other in an intelligent way, of course. Or it can be an OLAP server, or the online analytical processing service. Most famous of them can be SAS or SAP NetWeaver or Microsoft Analytical Service. So you can have that. Then people have their proprietary applications which do such kind of data collections. There is a Microsoft research effort called Dryad, which is very similar to the MapReduce of Google, a little more beyond that as well. And via using Dryad, you can collect data and do the data mining across multiple instances of the multiple processes, actually. So the next part is the preparation of data. Now, what do you prepare in the data? How do you prepare the data? You first do the cleaning part, and after cleaning that, you have to find out which is the most important. How do you do data mining? If there is an ore, there is something shiny, which is the anomaly, you find out that. The first thing that you have to look for in data mining for DNS is the anomaly. Where there was a peak, there was an amplification, there was something that is going out of the way, that is the anomalous collection that you make. The second thing that you make is classification. Now, classification is a classic data mining way in which you collect and relate data and how close they are and how far they are when you are talking about a certain variable. For example, if you have collected all this data and with relevance to security part, do you think all the communications that are being done are secure or they are totally not secure? So you can cluster the data that you have collected into secure data and secure communication and non-secure communication. And somewhere between that lies the place where there is a DNSSEC implementation without NSEC3 support, which is partially secure and, well, not so secure according to some FISMA compliance rules. So that is one part. Then there is this clustering of data. The clustering is mostly used for user analysis, like user behavior analysis, in which you cluster data which across the groups and like from a particular location in the world, how many queries were made for a particular domain. So which is the most popular domain in a particular area. And this kind of data is called, this kind of data mining principle is called clustering of the data. Now, another thing that you have to take in mind is rolling over with the knowledge transfer, because you cannot keep the data forever. So what you have to do is to keep the information out, find out all these things I told, keep it into an information database, and then use it for the next iteration of the collection. Now, this important part of this is after the collection and preparation is done, you have to do the pattern discovery. Now, pattern discovery has got, again, very established principles. I will try to apply those principles to DNS in particular. One of the most prominent principles is the market basket analysis or the affinity analysis, in which you can find out what is the affinity of a particular client to do something over and over again. For example, if he has searched something or if he has done a Bing search on someone, what is the next thing he's going to click? Or for example, if he is buying a flower, what is the next thing that he's going to buy? He's going to buy a ring for his wedding or something else. So this is the affinity analysis in DNS, which can be used to predict the system, like prediction of the user behavior. Now, the second is the association rules, in which you actually find association between things which are not so obvious. A very pretty example of this is, it is said that people who buy diapers in supermarket also buy beer. Now, these things are totally not connected. How do you find that? So one of the example is, for example, if some person is particularly looking for a domain in some area, and after that that is followed by an amplification attack, do you find a correlation between them? Can you associate them? So this kind of association you have to establish between two seemingly unconnected things. And then there is this famous one, the sequential pattern mining, in which one by one, if you find a sequence of events going on, you say that, okay, these are happening in a particular sequence, and this is the information extracted. And potentially the pattern discovery is done mostly from the domain name analysis, like you find out which domain is getting hit how many times, which part of the world is accessing this domain. Then the amplification analysis, like you find out which kind of queries are going to getting amplified. Are you getting an amplification attack somewhere? Then the user behavior analysis, like what is the predictive behavior of an user? If he has got to DNS for this query, what is the next query that he's going to make? And that can be used for advertisements and other things. Client subnet analysis, like which client subnet is pro to doing these things more frequently than others. And the final one is the security analysis, like finding out where the DNSSEC is more prevalent, where the DNS is getting used. You people have talked about so many monitoring tools. Mining data can be really wonderfully useful in that case. And the final, what is the actionable information? Actionable information in the cloud model are three. You have to do user behavior analytics, like what can you do? What is the next that the user is going to do? How do you scale? Do you need a particular dedicated reserve for a particular tenant or not? Load model. Load modeling is the basic of cloud. Cloud is all about elasticity, right? It's the promise that whenever it goes, people come in and come out, you give an infinite resource promise to the tenants, and then no one ever feels that they are in lack of resources. So if you are not being used in some way, you can decrease your scale. You can reuse those resources for something else. If you are able to find that the load model is going to increase next day at 7 to 10 p.m., dedicate more DNS resources or scale it out in a better way. And the final is, and the obvious is DDoS detection. You find out, as I said, if a particular domain, if a botnet is querying a particular domain at some part of the world, which is followed by a totally unrelated amplification attack, how do you find them? How do you correlate them? It is similar to buying a diaper and buying a beer. So these are correlated in a way, but unless you do some association rule processing, you cannot be able to do this.